The grift continues. Actually, it's not even really the grift. It's more is it the cover up? We now have a new report that the gift records for Donald Trump and Mike Pence, they're just missing. They're gone. The State Department says. NBC News reporting, the executive office of the president did not submit information about gifts received by Trump and his family from foreign leaders in the year 2020. This is quite literally how you track the emoluments, adherence to the emoluments clause of the Constitution. You know, when we talk about people in office receiving gifts and things of value from foreigners, this was an issue during the Russia investigation. This is how we track it. This is how we hold them accountable. For 2020, the records are just missing. The article goes on to say, the State Department says it is unable to compile a complete and accurate accounting of gifts presented to Trump and other officials during his last year in office. The data is missing from the White House. In a report to be published in the Federal Register next week, the department says the executive office of the president did not submit information about gifts received by Trump and his family from foreign leaders in 2020. Wow. It also says the General Services Administration didn't submit information about gifts given to Mike Pence and staffers. The State Department said it sought the missing information from where? From the National Archives and Records Administration and the GSA, but was told that, quote, potentially relevant records are not available because of access restrictions to retired records. Wow. The report notes the lack of gift information could be related to internal oversights, as the protocol office neglected to submit the request prior to when the Trump administration ended. However, it also noted there has been a, quote, this is like the understatement of the century, there's been a lack of adequate record keeping pertaining to diplomatic gifts during Trump's White House reign. I mean, listen, maybe check Mar-a-Lago for those records as well. I don't know. And now there's the reaction. Oh, everybody does this. So every administration does this. Actually, no. Go back to the Guardian report from 2018. We learned that the Saudis gave Barack Obama and his aides jewels worth thousands of dollars, according to ex-advisor Ben Rhodes. They got, quote, suitcases full of jewels on a 2009 trip, and they were immediately turned over to the state protocol office. No missing records, no question marks. We know exactly what went on. This is a big difference here between the two administrations. And, you know, it's one of these things where individually, well, the documents that Trump ate, he ate because they thought they tasted like Doritos. And so you don't have to worry about that. And the documents he flushed thought they might have E. coli on them, and Trump wanted to get them out of there. And then the documents that he brought to Mar-a-Lago, right? I mean, I'm kidding around about the explanations, but that individually you can say this was an oversight and that was an accident, and then Trump ripped them up because that's what he's used to, but we taped them back together. But then you take the totality and you have to say, this is a pattern. And one of the things that investigators look at, you know, we talk about there are crimes that are really difficult to prove because they go to state of mind. I know this is like a broken record, but perjury. People lie in court all the time. And sometimes the lies are really hard to prove. Like, for example, there's a technique where you can go in when you're supposed to give testimony and you testify in court and you're asked about things and you don't want to lie. You don't want to give a false answer. So you say you don't recall. Now, sometimes saying you don't recall can get you into trouble because good lawyers that are prepared for false I don't recalls have a line of questioning and they have records and they can actually show you did recall when someone else asked you about it or whatever. So lying about I don't recall has its risks. But sometimes for a well-prepared witness, dishonest I don't recalls can get you out of trouble. And you are lying, you do recall. And it's very hard to prove. And that's why you rarely see perjury charges. Okay, that's just one example. When it comes to sedition, for example, sedition, and maybe I can even pull up the definition, conduct or speech meant to incite people to rebel against an authority. Okay, so with sedition, there's an aspect of saying, well, it's not only what you said, but it was your intent in getting people to rebel against the established order or the government or what. These things can be difficult to prove. But context and a pattern is something that can be used to try to show what was in the mindset of an individual. And when you see all the things Trump knew were wrong, right? He said Hillary is irresponsible with with sensitive information and private email and not keeping records. So he knew that these things were wrong to do. And then Trump rips up records, eats records, flushes records, steals records, spills secrets to a Russian spy recruiter in the Oval Office that we got from our ally Israel. You see the pattern of him doing things which we know he knew they were wrong because he criticized Hillary for doing them. Then it's hard to say that this isn't a pattern and that this is deliberate action, right? I mean, it just is what it is. Will there be consequences? Probably not. But I do have a voicemail that goes to that. Let's go to that next. Science has shown us that lowering your body temperature at night improves sleep in many ways. Our sponsor, Chili Sleep, creates systems that cool down your bed, promoting deeper, higher quality sleep. It also just feels great. I use it at home. I'd recommend it to anyone, and I've recommended it to some friends who now use it as well. Chili Sleep's product, the Ooler, the Cube, and the Dock Pro, they're all water-based, temperature-controlled pads that fit onto your existing mattress. You can keep your bed as low as 55 degrees, as hot as 115 degrees. I like 60. Their new Dock Pro sleep system has double the cooling power of other models, 5 times the cooling contact, whisper quiet. You can control it with your phone. It's awesome. With Chili Sleep, there's no more feeling hot at night, no more sweating. Cooling your bed down like this is amazing. You really have to try it for yourself. When you go to chilisleep.com/Pacman, you'll get 30% off the Ooler and Cube sleep systems and 10% off the new Dock Pro. This offer is only for my audience. The link is down below.